Welcome to All About Arsenal, and this evening we're going to take some time out just to have some fun. Basically, talk about the best news we've heard prior to the international break starting. For those that are living under a rock with no access to internet or cable TV, international break is on. I can see I'm repping Brazil, even if I'm not a Brazilian. And what's key here is that yesterday our Arsenal players actually featured for their respective nations, and the best part was that no one got hurt. Iberichi Eze was Iberichi Eze scored a beautiful goal alongside Bukayo Saka. So our guys basically cooked well for England, as you would expect. Unfortunately, Miles Lewis Kelly did not start. He was not even called up at all because they're all about that he's not playing enough games. But he's young. He's like 18 or 19. So there's going to be time for him to, strut his stuff. Today, we're going to speak about something interesting and exciting. We have a couple of players that are back from injury. And these guys are the ones that are going to be very influential for us when we take on Tottenham in the North London Derby. I'm talking about Kai Havertz. I'm talking about Viktor Gyökeres. Talking about Martin Ødegaard. Talking about Noni Madueke. And of course, Gabriel Martinelli. Just imagine having that much firepower all at once. The question now will be, what do you want to do with them at the same time? So far this season, we've been able to manage our depth effectively because, trust me, it has been crazy. For some parts of the season, we've lost Saka in the early part of the season here. That's when Madueke started playing very regularly for us up until the Man City game where he suffered his own injury. We all know Kai Havertz, who was a regular for us for the past two campaigns in a row, was also our top goal scorer. But last season, he suffered a terrible hamstring injury when we went for the Dubai warm weather training sometime in February, and he did not return again for us up until May or late April, if I can remember, if I can recall. And it was a challenge having these guys not available for selection because it really derailed our title campaign. Arsenal were really fighting hard with Liverpool, and that was actually the year that Man City decided to play very, very poorly. But unfortunately, we could not cash in on that, bearing in mind that we had lost, Saka for a very long extended period. We had lost Kai Havertz as well. Going into this new campaign, Havertz played just 30 minutes of football for us in the 1-0 win against Manchester United. And unfortunately, he hasn't played for us since then. He had to go for a knee surgery that kept him out in August, September, October, November. And of course, Martin Ødegaard, who has been one of the most unfortunate players for us this season, basically had two shoulder injuries or injured the shoulder the first time against Leeds and had the same injury again against Nottingham Forest. That was quite terrible. And when he finally got back from that, we saw him play so well against Olympiacos. But unfortunately, when Arsenal played West Ham, he had another injury where he clashed his knees actually, with Crescencio Somerville, and he has been out since then. That's almost 2 months. Yeah, like almost 2 months of action, Yes, in the course of these injuries, he had been traveling to see the folks at the Norwegian national team. Haaland was on fire again for them. As they won, was it Estonia? Yes, our boy Karl Hein was in goal for Estonia, but as you'd expect from Estonia, he considered so many goals. Sometime in February. So today we're just going to take some time out to talk about these players. I'm also expecting a couple of panelists, but they are not here yet. So I'm still holding the fort till they come through. So let's just talk about, Noni Madueke. He's someone that has been very, very instrumental for the team. We have seen him not get the kind of output that we expect from him yet, but he has shown clearly that he's a player that's going to be first to be reckoned with. Okay, we've got Malik in the building. Getting some feedback from you, bro. So, do you want to shut one of your devices?
Can you still get it?
Are you using two devices?
Um, I'm actually trying to use this one.
Yeah, but there's a lot of feedback coming from your end.
All right.
Yeah, we can hear the echoes.
All right. Let me know when it stops.
Yeah, it has stopped.
All right.
Perfect, perfect. Hi, Malik. How you doing, brother?
I'm very good.
Did you watch our game yesterday?
Which of the games? The Nigeria game or the English game?
No, 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 no.
Because I
So
don't
right
know. I don't know who you will throw your heart behind.
now I'm talking about the Nigeria game. Did you watch the Nigeria game yesterday?
Yes, I actually did. Yes, I did.
What was your take on that Osimhen miss in the 90th minute? Did you lose all the
Terrible.
hair in your head?
Well, not really. I think I actually expected it. The man is not that clinical. I love him to death. But that's Osimhen for you. He misses the easiest chances ever and
And
comes
scored
up with a double
the
tap on the knee and turns and shoots. That's Osimhen.
yeah. Good to have you on the channel today. So it's basically, we're going to talk about five players. Our guys have basically returned from injury. We've
Okay.
missed them a lot. Kai Havertz, Noni Madueke, Viktor Gyökeres, Gabriel Martinelli, and of course Martin Ødegaard. And the best place to start with is our striker, Viktor Gyökeres. So, how has his performances been from your own perspective so far? Has he justified the hype?
Gyökeres, the man with a lovely name that most of us cannot pronounce. The hype behind him, I think if we had gotten Sesko with that amount, I would have been disappointed if this was what I was getting. But with the amount that I think we paid for him, fair value, fair market value, he's getting there. He's not there yet. He still has a long way to go. But with the little things we've seen, he's taking up pressure from our wingers. The two games we played without him, you saw Mourinho couldn't do what Gyökeres does. He had to drop
Mhm.
out of it. Gyökeres never drops out of that box. He's always trying to run
Yeah.
behind the striker, behind the defenders, drag them out of positions, take pressure off our wingers and the midfielders. But he will get better with his finishing over time. He has a lot of,
Yeah.
he has one heavy touch. I still don't get where it comes from. But that ball just never sticks to his feet whenever he's trying to make a move. So I think he will get better over time. But if you have to score him so far, I'll say he's above average now, but we still expect a lot from him.
Yeah. Because when you look at all the games he has played so far, yeah, in the early times, because first of all, I understand the fact that he did not play preseason. Welcome, Wale. We're talking about Victor Gyökeres right now. So we understand the fact that
Okay.
he did not play preseason with us early on, because there was that whole drama around him and Sporting CP and all that whole crap. But he played the games against, I think, Athletic Club, where he scored. Then he came on as a sub against Tottenham. And the fact that Kai Havertz got injured actually allowed him to play an extended run of games. So, Wale, I'll probably ask you this question. Has this extended run of games actually helped him in the fact that he has not really gotten rest? Because as you can see, he suffered a muscular injury, which showed that those games took their toll. But would you have preferred him to be rotated? You saw like Havertz in the squad.
Definitely, rotation is always, because that was always going to be the plan anyway. In fact, I think that according to what Arteta had said earlier, their plan for Gyökeres, was to actually um, bed him in, gently from the beginning. It was never the intention to just throw him in like that. It was going to always be manage his minutes with Kai, and then Kai got injured, and he had that extended run. For me, I will say it was a blessing and a curse, because
Okay.
I felt like he needed that run for confidence. It could have been either way, and I wouldn't even think that it's because of muscular injury can happen to anybody. Also, if you see the way Gyökeres plays naturally is very physical. It's like even when I'm watching him, I'm telling myself that if I move like this guy once, I feel no wake up for 2 weeks. As in, it is high intensity. As in, you're looking at this guy, they are pushing him, they are kicking. I'm like, God, he plenty. But I felt like it was a necessary evil for us to be able to get Gyökeres to where he needs to be, because he's coming from a much slower league. Yes, he's been in the league before, but APL has advanced, and I felt like those particular games allowed us see the evolution of Gyökeres and how he adapts to this team. And so for me, it's like he has his pros. The con is that he's now injured, but he'll be back. But for me, I like the fact that that happened, even though rotation would have been good. But that extended run allowed us. We could see how from game to game he got better with the link up play. For me, Gyökeres has always been a player that we all know that when he was in Sporting, is that he is biased towards the left. We even saw it when he joined us. But now he's coming from the middle, he's coming from the right. You can see that, man, this guy, another 5 games, problem good day for the league. And it's just unfortunate that he got injured, but it is what it is. I think for me, it is just, yeah, we're unlucky to not have had Kai relieve him sometimes, but it has, his run has its merits.
Okay, fair enough. So Malik, let me just ask you this question: the kind of goals we've seen him score so far, are they any different from what we saw him do at Sporting? Like the least one had this, I don't know how to call it. He had this funny run about him. It looked like as if we were going to struggle with the ball, but somehow he finally got it through. And of course, there was a penalty. Everyone scores a penalty. Then the one that Iberechi gave to him on a plate against Nottingham. Then Atletico. And remember, between Nottingham and Atletico, he had gone 9 games for club and country without a goal. In that period when he had that drought, why did you feel nothing worked out for him?
I think it's just one of those unexplainable moments in football. A player can be playing to his best ability, but every shot on target just goes over. Every hit on the ball never goes straight. Um, him not scoring has never been his doing. He has been getting proper shots on target. Maybe a keeper does a fantastic save because of Gyökeres, or maybe the ball just wobbles, as Arteta says. Maybe the ball is not good at times. But let's leave that to another story. But Gyökeres, he hasn't really scored the type of goals we've seen him score in Sporting. He has not had clear runs that go from half of the pitch. If you look at the goal he scored against Man City in the Champions League last season, that took the ball from the left, from the centre half, and he ran at all the defenders. In the Premiership, he's barely going to have that opportunity. Before he even turns and runs towards the goal, somebody is already stuck on his back. So I don't see him getting that enough space to run wildly at defenders. And they give it to the Premiership defenders. They've been par to par with him. It's as if everybody comes extra prepared, like they've actually spent an extra day at the gym just because they want to play against Gyökeres. You see defenders struggling. See when we played Man U, how the leads became Iron Man all of a sudden. All because we were playing against Gyökeres. You get like everybody was actually looking forward to running into him before he gets into his stride. Any little touch, they've already covered him. So he hasn't really gotten the feel of the game yet. I believe this guy will he still has a lot to offer and he will improve better. But he doesn't need to score one of those goals which worked out for him. He needs to just score one of those funny goals which he has done through by now. I think 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Which has worked perfectly for him.
Awesome.
More of that.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So Blade, the game against Burnley, that first half was fire. I know that one you took it personally because it was in your FPL team. And obviously he was there to latch on to Gabriel's assist. But the chances he created for Saka, that pass to Trossard, had he basically come to the part where I said, okay, you know what, this is the kind of 9 we want, because I don't think I've seen him play like that for the club. With him coming back from injury, do you think we should expect the same from him, or was that a flash in the pan?
No, I don't think it was a flash in the pan. Because if you watch the games before, I know people will say, "Oh, it's Burnley, is a smaller team," but I'm like, what people are missing the fact that it's not even just about Burnley's reaction to him or how anybody that's been watching Gyökeres, you can tell that Burnley game was almost the height of the evolution of him and how he has been trying to adapt to the league and the team. And for me, what I saw in that game is not something that just happened against Burnley. It is something that we are going to be seeing quite often. And it is the fact that not only has he worked on his, the runs and the pressing, his pressing has greatly, I've never seen Gyökeres as a pressing player when he was in Sporting. Yes, he presses when he is about to attack, but now the pressing out of possession in helping the team has increased a lot. And you see the dimensions of how even the team is responding to him. You get a sense that they know how this guy plays now. The true balls are different, And for me, coming out of injury, I dey fear for teams because we all can see it. When you look at a player and like say this guy never score, but you they see say this thing where this guy they do when he finally done, he'll be bloody. It actually will be bloody. Some of the flicks that I'm seeing him, he does that in Sporting also. But Malik here, I think, is it Malik?
Yeah, Malik, yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. So you said something that you are completely right, but I want to tell you what is about the kind of goals that he used to score in Sporting that we have not seen. I think that he is someone that is very hard on himself. He's very tense about wanting to replicate that player that everybody is talking about. And so he's being extremely cautious. He thinks it through. In Sporting, they think when you collect ball for that edge of box like the kind of shot where he go light you, fear go catch you. And the first few matches, he played those kind of shots. He hit the bar. So those moments made him chill a bit. There was a game we were watching in Enigma when you're like, normal Gyökeres could not play shot for a year. You see, that is for me the next level of when he has fully come to terms with the fact that everybody is on his wavelength. That next level where he will come begin the live shot from everywhere, he's still there. He never even unleashed that one. See, as an Arsenal fan, as happy as I am, I sorry for teams. When that boy begin lights, as in, I'm really sorry because you see, I know Alan is White Walker, is tall, Viking and everything. But when Gyökeres enters team, as in the dimensions to his game will be how they call Alan name, because that boy is brutal. As in, you look at him like gosh, guy, as in what's happen? Like you won't keep person. He will find a way to now start weighing those centre backs out, no matter how physical they think that they'll be. So for me, I am looking forward to him coming back and what we get from him going forward. It's going to be brutal and not for us.
All right, Wadi, that's good. So Malik, we have in addition to Gyökeres coming back at some point in the season, probably next month or early next year, we'll have a certain Gabriel Jesus coming back as well. He has been out for the best part of a full year with an ACL injury. And when he first joined the club 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago, he was phenomenal prior to that World Cup. Are we ever going to see that type of Jesus in the team again? And will he be able to contend with the likes of Gyökeres and Havertz for a starting place, or is he going to be sold?
This is a tough one, to be honest. The Jesus we got that first season was not the Jesus we got after the injury. He has not been the same Jesus we've seen every time he has stepped on the pitch. I've been watching a couple of his training videos. There's this little edge of I don't want to get injured in the way he
Yeah,
moves to the ball. When he joined the full team in training, the man was removing his leg a lot from every little tackle.
yeah,
There's just something
like Eduardo, yeah.
like Eduardo, exactly. So that thing just, I think it would need more than training, maybe psychological support. Something to just let him know, even if you get injured, you can bounce back again. Just keep at it. That kind of Chikrisisi mentality. If you break your 2 legs, you can still play. But the next year, he needs something to push him. Playing in Arsenal as Gabriel Jesus, right now, I don't see him competing with Gyökeres. I don't see him giving us the output of Kai Havertz because his gameplay, number one, is totally different. The way what he gives to the attack is like a false nine, or I want a little type of hybrid nine.
Yeah, yeah,
He
deep
wants to
line, deep
play
line forward, yeah.
exactly. He wants to have triangular passes with other players. He wants to move the defense away from where they are to one angle and just flow with the ball. That's Jesus. That's Brazilian in him. Arteta has tried to coach all that out of him, but I don't think that boy will ever listen. He would always drift to the midfield, drift to the left, drift to the right. He's not going to give us that Gyökeres stand in the box 18 and expect the ball, or stay with the defender and ensure that defender is marked without the ball. Gabriel Jesus gives us something totally different. I think we can play Gabriel Jesus with a nine.
Oh,
I would
okay.
really love to see that.
Okay, like a eight. Yeah, so this brings
Yes.
me to my next discussion. And I think Wale, I want to take a stab on this. Malik said something very important. That presence in the box. As much as I like Mikel Merino, you could see in the game against Sunderland that he could not offer us that. And I think as a team, we need to transition away from the whole forwards playing too deep kind of stuff. With Gyökeres still in the squad coming in and we can have us there, how important is that presence in the box going to be for us in this our title challenge?
It's going to be very important. To be honest, that is the reason why you know Beta and the team went full force for Gyökeres. Gyökeres gives us something that we've always lacked. To be honest, it's even different from a Kai. A Kai is almost like a more cool-headed physical Jesus because Kai also drifts from mostly from the midfield, link up play. It's just
Yeah,
that he also has a moment where he has presence in the box, but you will not find Kai mostly in the box. It's strange, but you will not find him there. If you notice, it's link up plays that end up in him appearing in the box. So what you have is that you have someone who is obviously very aware is definitely not a Mikel Merino. He's also someone that has played most of his football before he even came to the league in the midfield as a supporting striker, but one that also has the intelligence to show up in the box. And so he's different from Gyökeres. Gyökeres is someone that is a in the box player, but also one that has come into a football style that was different from the one he was playing for many seasons. People forget that human beings, no be robots. You can't just
yeah,
automatically land and then begin to shape shift. No, it will take time. And I feel like he is properly learning that. For me, Malik mentioned something about Jesus. Jesus is understandable This is Jesus, apart from the other knee injury, this is his second ACL tear in his career. As in, he had the first one when he was like 21 or thereabout. This
Yeah,
is
in
it's
Palmeiras, I
not,
remember.
yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy to know as a player that you have suffered ACL, no be small thing. So psychologically, yes, it's good. It go the fear, but for me, I believe that in this new era of Arsenal football, it's down to Mikel how he juggles it. But what I see is Jesus back to the wing the way they were using him in City. For me,
Interesting.
when you play Jesus on the wing, and this is what I have noticed also with it's not like it's not his natural. He can play on the right, he can play on the left, but
Yeah,
the frivolities reduce when he's on the wings.
yeah,
It is more intentional because he's not thinking about, oh, I have to maze and run. He will still come into the midfield and everything. So I see a Jesus where he can play, on Saka's wing, he can play on the left when you need an extra force to support whoever is, playing the nine. This one too that Saka can play on the left. For me, it's now how Mikel decides how to use. I don't think it can ever be a situation where it will be a second striker because unless Mikel changes completely his template, because if you know Mikel's when Mikel plays someone in a second eight, your responsibilities plenty past just being an attacker. It's their defensive responsibilities that fall on you, which is why every time Eze is in that position, everybody they cry because you can see how Eze does not do it, you know.
yeah,
And and so I just like that we have now different options up front. And it is not people don't realize this. So on the group the other day, Enigma, you put up with stats. Some people did not check the past seasons. Now, the indication of that Arsenal being the highest ranked team playing through ball tells you how much intentionality has gone into trying to break down the low blocks.
yeah,
And it says, you see, that thing speaks volumes. It tells you that there is grave intention of putting the ball and finding the last man. And if we continue like that, for me, is all the way up. You have a Gyökeres that is very direct. If he's struggling or is looking like he's not working, you have a different kind of player in Kai that likes to destroy in the midfield before he joins the attack. If it's not working, you have a fleet-footed Jesus that can constantly drag 3 or 4 players with. You cannot see a Jesus on the field as a footballer, a defender, and only one person go follow him. It's not
yeah.
possible. And that's why he scored so many goals in his first season and our wingers flourished. Because when Jesus move, 3 people must follow.
Let's follow. Yeah, that's fine. I agree. So Malik, let's talk about Tottenham's high line. Thomas Frank's team has really struggled. Obviously, you cannot really compare it with how bad things were with Ange Postecoglou when he was with them last season. But that high line is something that I believe Gyökeres can exploit. Do you think that we should try to pass into space a lot when we lock horns with them on Sunday, upper week?
When we lock up with them, Thomas Frank would be a Tottenham. I don't want to use any insulting word. Would be how do I call it? If he doesn't change his tactics against Arsenal, he'll be in for a shot. I expect him to drop that eye line to the front, 1 meter away from his goalkeeper. No, to be honest, I expect them to play on the counter. And when I say counter, not with all their players, with maybe just like 4 of their players. I expect them to try to play long balls. Because if they do anything other than that, Arsenal will hold on to the ball for 89 minutes and just score 1 goal and hold on to the ball to the end of the game. So if they are coming there to actually play football, I will advise them to just defend. But
Fair enough.
anything other than that, You'll be surprised that Trossard is fast. Trossard might just be running behind for most of the time because of that eye line. So I don't expect them to try to play eye line unless there's an evil spirit pushing Tottenham on, but they should be smart enough not to try that against Arsenal.
Okay.
So I sincerely don't see them doing it.
Okay. What do you regard as a successful campaign for Gyökeres in 10 goals in the Premier League and all competitions from what you have seen so far?
For me, minimum it should be nothing less than 20 goals, minimum.
All competitions or the league alone?
All competitions. Because I will let us be a bit fair and say it's his first season. You know, you're allowing him betting for a 20 goals contribution all season would be decent. The hope is that maybe he can do more. I know for a certainty that by the time we start approaching halfway through the league, you see all those shakara where some of these players they do. Some of them would, as in fatigue and stamina issues, will be kicking in, and I honestly see Gyökeres having a field day. I don't know why. I don't know where they get this crystal ball thought from, but I see goals for that boy future. No be say because now before we're like, this guy is struggling, this guy. But you see in the last 3 matches, waiting me don't you, because there are some games where I just decide that I don't care what's going on in this game. I just they look or they follow him. I say it again. As in, no, I'm telling you, I look all these rival fans where they talking. Yeah. I'm like, this thing where I see this boy. You see, because goal scoring is natural to him. All of us that have watched him sporting knows that goal scoring is natural to Gyökeres.
Yeah.
And you don't lose that type of ability. What is happening now is that you are just trying to adjust to the team, and when everybody constantly says that what Gyökeres does for us, what Gyökeres does for us, what Gyökeres does for us, even without scoring. What you will now start having, because if you notice, when he did not play, Saka, it coincided with Saka struggling because all the focus of the players that used to pack was now back to Saka. What you now start having is that the reason why you have not really seen Gyökeres is because Saka has been a bit dipped in form. If Saka's form improves to the point where you pack 2 or 3 people to follow Gyökeres and Saka light you too, you start leaving Gyökeres small. What we now have is that you now have that double marking again, one person, and you leave one person with Gyökeres. It will light you constantly, and that time is coming. And for me, I want to say something. I don't know if this is the right time to. I don't know if you still have it marked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I know that Ødegaard is, Ødegaard and everything, and we all want Eze to succeed. But bros, I know Trossard is hot too, but Eze's Arsenal future was lying at that left today.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm telling you, because you see, if he can work better on that left and supporting the midfield. But you see, giving him the keys to that midfield to control. And funny enough, Arteta adapts to him. It is not like, if you notice, Ødegaard's responsibilities is not on Eze. If you watch how we set up without Ødegaard.
He has no bias to the right-hand side. He doesn't also press as well.
It's not even that. I'm not even saying that what he's not able to do. I'm saying that based on Arteta's instructions, he actually allows Eze to foil as a support striker. What Ødegaard does is now transferred to Rice. Rice is the one that takes up that responsibility of what Ødegaard normally would do for the team.
Yeah.
Now, so for me, when I look at Eze, and he was picking when he was on that left. Yes, many times Arteta will drag him and say, you're out of position, you are doing this. You see during the matches, always reminding him. Some players even remind him because he forgets himself. I think that's another person that is gotten used to, because the way he plays in Crystal Palace, he get destroyers.
Yeah.
He get destroyers now. He get destroyers. that allows, as in, what's the name of that? Bino, I'm waiting with that guy we get white. Two of them.
Hughes and Adam Watson.
Yes, two of them are like, when you get destroyers where they help you clear road. In this party, we're not, and it's the route one football that they play. In this particular team, for me, you see that core, and this is part of the issue that Gyökeres started suffering. Before Ødegaard got injured, my eye see waiting Ødegaard when they do Gyökeres. Like, you go, as in, you could see that Ødegaard was intentional about saying, now only Gyökeres that will they find.
Yeah, especially that Olympiacos game, that was just
as in all manner of passes. So so my point generally is we have a lot to look forward to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot to look forward to, and my only fear is, as all the pundits are also suspecting and starting to say, is how resilient are these boys in their is mental now, because you know how trauma be when you look back and a Man City they pursue you different.
And it's crazy. They're showing like that juggernaut in X-Men.
It's different.
Can you remember that scene in X-Men, The Last Stand, when Juggernaut was chasing Shadow Cat?
Yes.
That she will face through the wall, the guy will break it.
Do you understand? It's different. Liverpool will get 2 points, or Man, you behind, but when PTSD, when you look back, now City, you know how many times they do that thing where they do your back, conquer you. So for me, what I want to see is, are these boys past that psychological level where it doesn't matter who is behind them? Because 4 points no be beans to be leading in this league. Forget.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like Malik said, I doubt that Uncle for Spurs will do what he has been doing. This is somebody that is an Arsenal fan. That guy is a closet Arsenal fan. And no, but he always talking about how he likes what's it called. So it takes his time in preparing his tactical decisions when he's playing Arsenal. He will never go that high line with Arsenal. Never.
Yeah.
He's not going to do it. And so it's going to be a game where you will see Tottenham's approach. Apart from the fact that we also know that when they play away from home, there's just a certain freedom that they have. If these boys go out and light Tottenham, as in light, that in that moment, I can tell you that I will say to myself that, these boys don't fear whether City are behind them or not. They are ready.
Yeah, I agree. And Malik, maybe to my next question. Man City is going to play Newcastle away before we play Tottenham. If for any reason, Newcastle decides to be useless and Man City gets 3 points from them, it will drop the lead to 1 point before the Tottenham game. How much pressure do you think are we going to be without knowledge that it's just 1 point? And do you think we have the balls to cope with it?
Well, this is a new season. I think we should forget about the Arsenal of old. Arteta right now might be blindfolding those boys for 24 hours and telling them not to listen to any news, not to bother about what's behind them. He might practically even have on his chat board another team in total that City on top of us. Because I expect the man to do something else. Those boys are no longer boys, to be honest. They should be used to City being either under their skin, on top of their skin, on top of their head. We need to be able to play a Sunday match without being scared of what happened on Saturday. If we want to be champions, we as Blade said, psychologically we need to break that chain. So I don't expect those boys to be worried about what Man City plays. Definitely Man City is likely to win because Newcastle would always open that leg wide for them, especially without their right back and left back. I think Dambon has a red card. So let's just forget about Man City and Newcastle for now.
Okay, awesome.
Man City is going to win. So Arsenal needs to play the game like the cup final.
Okay,
it's
that's
derby. It's your first rival. Beat them. That's all.
Okay.
Just beat them.
So let's go to the next player on this list. We have cooked enough with Gyökeres, almost 40 minutes talking about our striker, but he deserved that time. Now we have a player that our reading runs through. Without him, our transitions are a bit slower. Our pressing triggers have been less precise. And that's the first thing to talk about Blade. How much have we missed Ødegaard's press in the
Um,
final third?
a pass press where we miss. So, for me, me, I'm a big Odegaard fan. You know that, and so it pains me whenever I'm hearing people they say, Eze needs to come and take over that. I'm like, it be like saying, no, because person gets slow season last season. We know all the issues. From the coming back from the injury, to the family life, to change in his status, all of those things combined. But Odegaard is still Odegaard, and is for me, and one of the reasons why, and Arteta has said it before, is that if there's one person on this thing, not just because he's captain, that sticks to what the team is supposed to do in each match, is Odegaard. Is like Odegaard be like, and some of players have said it, the tactics play everything like it did brain, as in it did there. They forget waiting the plan B. And how many times do you see a player press for 90 minutes? I never seen it for my life. Odegaard constant till the last minute is pressing you, and we've missed him. Even though we have been able to cope better than we would have in past seasons, which is a good thing, which is what our strength in depth. But you see, having Odegaard back is like it would be like say we did on another level. The only thing that is paining me now, because if you notice, Arteta has been hiding, or maybe Arsenal as a whole has been hiding what training is like. Normally, we don't see some things, but they hide things. I don't know what thing they hide, but they hide them. But what is now paining me now is that I'm always feeling like in my mind I want Ødegaard to play against Spurs, but it's looking like he's not going to play because why is Uncle in the Norway changing room jumping and shouting? Do you understand? So it tells me that all the training that they are training, this man is not training it. And I'm like, I don't see him starting, but maybe not Tottenham, but we have really missed Ødegaard. And like you mentioned, against Olympiacos, I just smack my lips say, if this link up where they see Ødegaard and Gyökeres can just be going like that, things will happen. And so for me, Ødegaard, Zubimendi, and Rice is very needed. As they make that midfield just champagne back, like God. As I'm like, wow, it is no, that guy is we don't know. You say you don't know what you have till you lose it. Every day they just watch them and they say, oh, they got they here, this thing will happen, enough it. And so we need our couple back. We need our metronome back, our heartbeats, our orchestrator.
Okay. Hi, Rory. Welcome to the chat. We're talking about our captain right now. There's a certain level of control and calm he brings to that chaos in the midfield. But what I want to talk about are the injuries. Like in recent seasons, Ødegaard has actually been very unfortunate. Last year, it was international break where someone stamped on his ankle and he was out for, I think, 3 to 4 months ago. This season, his shoulder injury twice, then he clashed knees with a fellow professional that's supposed to be a normal football tackle. He was out for close to 2 months. At what point do you think you'll be able to get over his injury issues? Or should we just bear in mind that this is just what we're going to get from him going forward?
Well, with Ødegaard, right, and his injuries, I think one of the things you can take away from these injuries like reoccurring for him is the amount of running he does off the ball. Like the guy does lead our press very well, to be fair to him. So that could be one of the situations that is sort of hindering him. And I get like we need him to lead the press and that, but maybe if he does less running, it could solve the issue he currently has. at this moment in time. And I think right now I look at Ødegaard and I go, well, from, I would say 2 seasons ago, where I think there were arguments whether or not he was going to be our most important player because of the press and the fact everything goes through him on the ball as well as, off the ball. But I think right now, I reckon there are solid players in front of him that I think are more important than Ødegaard. You look at Gabriel, you look at Rice, you look at even Gyökeres to an extent, Saka. I would put all of these players ahead of Ødegaard right now. I wouldn't say he is completely undroppable. But then again, the way we win the ball up, high up the pitch, I think he is vital for that in comparison to the likes of Eze or Waneri, whoever plays in that position. But I think this is obviously me saying, I want Ødegaard injured so we can have Eze in that position, who hasn't really ripped up any trees, let's be honest, so far this season.
Yeah.
But I think what I want to see is competition in that position. I want to hopefully see Ødegaard and Eze, maybe Waneri perhaps, challenging for that department because, again, that could raise Eze's game. Because at the moment, I feel like he's a little bit too comfortable. Like, he doesn't really trust Waneri to start in games, well, Premier League games, should I say. So I think perhaps with Ødegaard coming back, it could raise Eze's game a lot more, and we could see him play with a little bit more bravery. But I think that's probably like one of the influences, I would say, the fact he's going to bring competition. Well, to be fair, in Arteta's mind, it's not really much competition because he'll start anyway. So, I think hopefully when he does come back, we will manage him well and not throw him back into the deep end that we have done with plenty of other players, like Gabriel, Saka. We need to slowly ease him in, and we've got to play other players he currently has in his position whilst he's starting to get back into his rhythm. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah, okay, that makes sense. So Malik, in the past 2 seasons prior to this campaign, Ødegaard had created 24 assists in the team. 13 assists 2 campaigns ago, 11 assists last season, and he has had 2 this season. In his absence, have you seen any other player within the team that has garnered that much creativity? Or what can we do differently in these scenarios when we don't have him? Do we just latch on only set pieces?
Okay, for that number 10 role, I think Ødegaard plays number 10 role different from Eze. Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about competition of players playing within the same square pegs, Ødegaard gives us something totally different. He plays a central CM. He tries not to get into the box 18, so he's at the edge of the box at every point in time.
Yeah.
Eze wants to play behind the striker. If he doesn't get the ball, he finds it very hard to actually distribute the ball beyond the final third. Ødegaard drops back behind Rice. He finds longer passes. He plays well with Saka. I think this season he's now trying to leave the right wing and go a little bit to the left wing. There's a little bit of, I don't call it freedom, but I've seen him leave his comfort zone from that right wing and move centrally and move towards the left. His hit map has actually expanded compared to last season. Last season, he was just stuck behind Saka, beside Saka. If Saka was not playing, Ødegaard was off. The few times he played before he got injured, we saw an uptick in his output. Ødegaard started playing forward passes more. He started trying to make runs off the ball. He started changing positions with Rice just to get the ball and try long passes or short passes. His play combinations with other players other than Saka improved. Eze in the central position is more of a supporting striker. Mm-hmm. He wants to be in that box 18. I think he's still finding it hard to to play the Arsenal way or to play without the ball. His ball touches in the past 2 matches has not produced anything that I can call brilliance. There's really nothing in his output. He hasn't affected the game in ways that I would have expected him to. So I think moving Eze away from that 10, letting him play from the left wing and allowing Ødegaard to play his 10 would actually help Arsenal break down teams better. And if that doesn't work, second half, take either of them out, bring in a Trossard, bring in a Martinelli, play 2 strikers, come up with something different.
Yeah.
As your question on Ødegaard, I think we really need the Ødegaard of new. I don't want to say Ødegaard of old, but last season Ødegaard is not the same season. It's not the same Ødegaard I've seen this season. We need Ødegaard to step up. We need him to take that bull by the horn. If Ødegaard plays well, as Blade said, Gyökeres will cook. If Ødegaard plays well, Rice will score.
Okay, makes sense.
So we really need to help him out.
Okay, so let's talk about that right-hand side bias. There was a time in our lives as Arsenal fans that all we did was cook to the right with Ødegaard, Saka, and then White back then, doing their thing. Obviously, White is out of the squad. With the introduction of Julian Timber now as the consistent right back in the team, what's your take on how our right-hand side has been? Has it had the same type of influence that we used to have? Because if you look at Timber, Saka, Ødegaard, and look at White, Saka, Ødegaard, I believe from our own perspective, there has been a difference. We have not really had that much width that we used to have, that White used to produce with us. So it's an approach that we still need to continue, because it seems like it might be difficult for White to get back into the team when Timber is fit.
Okay, so this is what I'll say. There are many parts to that thing, and I'll also touch on the roles. For me, I don't think it's a one more influence than the other. I think that they're just different types of influences. Okay. Because that right are still is still bringing. Yeah, we know that White likes to hog the line and 1-2 with Saka and cross it in. Timber is very unpredictable. Timber can cut in and actually play the 1-2s on the edge of the box rather than far out on the wing. And we've seen that combination bring about a lot of results. Now, the only reason why people think that it's not working, because everything on that right usually before ends with Saka at the end of the final result. But what you are having now is that you are having a Timber at the end of some of those results too. He's getting into the box. He's the one playing the final through balls in the box. He's getting, see what the last, what was that team we played, the last Champions League game? Yes, that run, you will never, most of the time, White would have shunted to the, to the wing. So I don't think that it's a less influence. I just think that it's a different influence. But I also then believe that it is one that is the new direction of how Arteta wants to play. And I'll mention this. We all know, I don't know, but many people always, when you say Ødegaard 10, Ødegaard likes to play on the right. Ødegaard doesn't like to play on the right. If you watch Ødegaard in Norway, Ødegaard is hardly on that side. It is the way Arteta sets up. We don't play 10. We've never played 10. We play 2 8s. We play 2 8s with different instructions. We have the left 8, whose job, apart from helping the attack, is also primarily to help the defense. We then have the right 8, whose job is to, push the attack forward. And our system is such that those left and right 8s now have a triangle that they are working with on each side. It's not really worked on the left because some of the players there have not been up to par. But if you notice something interesting, is that now our left we've forgotten about those cries we used to cry about, oh, left is not working. Nobody talks about the left is not working anymore. And I'll tell you what is responsible for that. And so
Big
that
Callum.
bias that we normally, eh? And
Big
yeah, no, apart from big color, I'm getting somewhere. Is that
Okay, cool.
now that you're saying, let's remove last season. I know that Ødegaard was, injured and all of that. But if you look at the reason why Ødegaard dropped, part of the thing is because Partey dropped.
Okay.
Zubimendi's addition to that midfield is what is allowing you see Ødegaard moving more across different channels. And that's why the insistence on Zubimendi, because you see, you have a player from deep playing that role that can actually also effectively do the distribution. So it
Yeah, very
takes off
progressive.
so it takes off that pressure that you will normally have on Ødegaard that now allows him to roam. Because before now, we've always played that double eight. And you brought something to my attention some weeks back, and I agree with you. That's what I'm saying to you now. But you see, when Eze is playing, Arteta does not stick to that 2-8 anymore.
Yeah.
The instruction for Eze becomes different from what is
Ødegaard
given
needs
to
to do.
Ødegaard. So, for
Yeah.
instance, Eze is not required to go and recycle the ball and fall
Yeah.
deep and then go and lay passes from deep in the defense. That's not what he is asked to do. Yes, he's struggling a bit because he's overwhelmed by. I see him being overwhelmed by the instructions of what he needs to do, and he's still trying to grasp the how would I call it, the weight of playing for a bigger club. But you see, my point is what we've been able to do with the addition of Zubimendi is ideally to give Ødegaard more room. That's why you are seeing Ødegaard, for instance, take more space up on the left. Because when you see Ødegaard on the left, watch out for Zubimendi's position. Zubimendi is on that right, covering for where Ødegaard has left because he can play there.
Awesome.
And,
So
yes.
So awesome. I love that, bro. Good analysis. So the final thing we speak about Ødegaard, Rory, I think you will take this one, is his goal threat. In the 22-23 campaign, Ødegaard scored 15 goals, and that was unprecedented. But when you set a bar that high, what you need to do is to match it or at least stay close. But as the campaigns progressed, that has heavily regressed. I would say the injuries have taken their toll. But what's your take on Ødegaard's goal threat as a footballer for the team? Can he be trusted to come up with those clutch goals that we will need to see out games?
Yeah, so you just basically pointed out there that obviously he doesn't really, as a captain, he doesn't what's the term I'm looking for? He doesn't necessarily grab the game by the scruff of the neck, is what I'm trying to say. He's not someone that I would look at in this current starting 11 that would get us out of a rut or whatever. Like, if, for instance, which he was actually, when we finished 8th that season, knocked out by Villarreal, etc., in lockdown, right? He was obviously there on loan. Didn't really see much of him, if I'm being honest, like taking the game, like, for instance, Paul Palmer does, and Kevin De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes even has it in his game, Coutinho. I think that's something that Ødegaard is definitely missing for me. I don't doubt his work rate, as you know already. I don't doubt the fact he can dictate the tempo. But after he scored them 15 goals, I feel like Arteta, with the, I think one of the reasons you could say he scored 15 goals was the fact Xhaka allowed him to play a lot more central, and he was actually playing as the attacking midfielder. You would notice that most of the chances he creates are down the left-hand side, not the right. But Arteta has this weird obsession of having Ødegaard pretty much holding hands with Saka down that right-hand side, and I don't like it, to be honest. He should be threading balls from the left-hand side as well. Hopefully now with the addition of Zubimendi and Declan Rice. Well, Declan Rice obviously came in 2 seasons ago, but you get what I mean. With Zubimendi coming in alongside Declan Rice, I think that may allow Ødegaard to play a little like free flowing instead of just chaining to the right hand side every time. So that's one of the issues that I think we need to solve. I like the game when we played, I think it was West Ham at home, and we saw Declan Rice in the 6, Ødegaard in the 8, and Eze in the 10. I think that's what we need to see more often, against these sort of teams that are going to sit back.
Low blocks, yeah.
Yeah, low blocks. I think Ødegaard in the 8 would be perfect. I think he is a McAllister type player when it comes to, dictating the tempo, as I said, and he can really get himself forward as well. Like, I know he has the capability of doing that, Declan Rice role in case Declan Rice does get injured. I would fancy Ødegaard doing the same, to be fair, because he can do it, but we just don't see it because, again, he's always holding hands with Saka. So that's something I want to see more often. I want him to play as our box-to-box midfielder. Like, we don't need to play a double pivot every week. I'm not saying we should play Ødegaard in the 8 against, I don't know, Real Madrid away from home or Barcelona. That's not me saying it. It's just, I think, against these low blocks, or even like mid-game, say against Man City at home when Man City pretty much set out to defend in that second half. That was probably the game to play Eze, Ødegaard, and then Declan Rice in the 6. There was no need to have 2 defensive midfielders in there. So, listen, I think with Ødegaard, I'm looking forward to seeing how we manage Eze in this situation. Like, does Ødegaard come back in, which I think he will, but does Eze move out to the left? Does Trossard keep his place? It's going to be interesting, but yeah, I think Ødegaard could definitely come in and make an impact for me. Considering the hair as well, like that has to be done, right? So
yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So before I talk about Martinelli, there are a couple of messages I saw on the chat. Charles, thanks for your messages as well and being on today's video. You were like, bro, Ødegaard should be seen with the old English football team captain glasses. He's an amazing player and even an amazing captain and a greater person. Then you listen to that footballers talk about him. Then you were like, Rory, Ødegaard's dumping form was instead of his injury. He's a football prodigy, not a joke. He has everything in 360 vision, just in a sequence of games. And his newborn not to cry at night. Yeah, I know Blade was.
Come on. Like, I appreciate that he's got a child and that. Fair enough. But, like, name me one player that doesn't have a child. In fact, flip that around. Name one player that has a child and has had to deal with this every night.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know that there has been a sentiment about the whole having a child thing, but, it goes both ways. Well, I guess.
Yeah, so like, we just say how it is that Ødegaard last season, he was dreadful.
Yeah, he was actually.
He had a couple of good games at the start of the season, but I would say since November time, he was awful. Yeah. And obviously, it's not all his fault because he shouldn't have been playing.
Yeah. And I think they rushed him into action too quick. Yeah,
and this is the beauty of having a squad. Like, you've got Waneri, you've got Eze now in that position to a point where I actually forgot Ødegaard was out injured. So I think that's a testament to how strengthened this squad in the summer. But, like, again, there's just no excusing Ødegaard's season last season. The season before, actually, despite him regressing statistically, I was quite impressed with how he played second half of the season. I thought he was excellent. He actually dragged us through quite a few games. Porto, just to name one, innit? But, he was actually scoring goal. Well, not many, but he was scoring goals second half of the season, basically, which is what I like to see. And he was, I would say, he's better when it comes to finishing, which has been his strength. It was. Yeah, not his strength, his weakness. So That's one of the things I took away from Ødegaard that season. He was actually starting to take more shots outside the box. Last season, I felt like he just reverted to type where he was so scared to shoot. And that is the frustrating thing with Ødegaard, is the fact he never has the confidence to strike a ball. And it's frustrating with him. But hopefully he comes back and he makes an impact. And this ain't me saying I don't like him. It's just last season, let's just say how it is. He was awful.
Yeah, I agree. But Malik, one player we have not even spoken about much is Ethan Nwaneri. So if you remember, when Ødegaard suffered that injury playing for Norway, Nwaneri was available for selection, but I think I trusted Trossard to play alongside Kai Havertz, and that was a mess. Then when Saka got injured, Nwaneri started playing more games in the right, and the games became too much for him. He started struggling with fatigue and cramps and stuff. But during preseason this year, we're like, okay, you know what? Nwaneri should start playing from the middle. And he started playing a couple of games from preseason through the middle, and that has now been what was supposed to be his new position. Then Ødegaard gets injured again. Yes, you've had Eze, but in the games he has played so far, has he done enough to warrant consistent game time? Or do you just feel that because he's young, we just have to manage his minutes?
I wish Arteta could actually answer this question himself. There's something that he's seeing in training that we all can't see. Let me just take a stab at one. Last season, Ødegaard's movement on the ball was always from the right backwards. This season, that's exactly what Nwaneri was doing in the Premiership anytime he gets come off the bench. The only time he actually attacked was during Carling Cup. I think that was he started those two matches. His attacking runs were practically late during the second half when he started trying to run towards the box 18. Especially when Max Darwin came on or played on the outside and kept running. He started joining the attack. When he was alone in the match, he kept passing the ball backwards. Majority of his passes were backwards. I really don't understand why that kid cannot just move forward with the ball. And I think Arteta sees a lot of that. So that's why he cannot trust that number 8 or number 10 position to him yet. And if you have an Eze that is still trying to find his fit in the team, you will start Eze in front of Nwaneri. Over time, as long as we are still in the FA Cup or we are in the cup competitions, I expect him to be churning out week in, week out. But for the Premiership, even if Ødegaard is injured, I don't think Nwaneri is going to start on Arteta's bench because Eze is there. Eze, hierarchically is ahead of him. So Eze would always start Nwaneri. We might never get minutes off the bench if you look at it. Because once we are winning, it's not one that you can bring on to hold on to the ball. He would lose the ball. He's not as fast as we think he is. He's not as strong as we think he is. So if we're not winning by 4 goals or 2 goals or 3 goals, you don't expect him to come on for us now. In cup games, maybe he will start. And if we're losing, they will take him off and bring in another person. Nwaneri is not yet that type of incredible player that you guys can leave Arsenal's creativity to 100%. That's just my take.
Okay, Blade. In addition to what Malik has just said, do you think what can Nwaneri change in his game to appease Arteta to play him more? Or do you think it's just going to be the future? Okay.
To be honest, I feel like there was a desire to actually give him that opportunity because in the contract talks that they had pre-season before the season started, it was one of the things that was on the table to assure him that he would start from that middle. And I think that at the beginning you could see that there was desire to do that. But I think that Malik is very right. There's obviously something we are not seeing that is obviously happening in training. And some of it, I can see it in the games. And I'll tell you, as expected with a young guy, it's expected that his form and would fluctuate, and I think that's what's happening. There's a certain confidence that is lacking from Waneri's game at the moment, and I feel like I think that the burden of that position is suddenly dawned on him. It's not on the right wing. It is a position where the person that you are replacing is for lack of a better word, the almighty Ødegaard. And everybody in the team knows that is where the pulse of the team, starts from. I think that first of all is weighing on him. And so he's playing too careful and not as you would expect him. That's one. Two is, I honestly think that the boy has a fitness issue. I do. If you watch him, first 10, 15 minutes, very explosive. Every game is brought in. After 15 minutes, you will not see one area again.
Yeah, he just cuts there. Yeah.
Is hiding, is not there. You don't see him in the runs. It phases out. And that's exactly what happened towards the end of last season. Enigma, you were saying about, he was struggling with game time. He didn't play that much, but he was constantly having cramps after 20 minutes. I have to read injury reports. I'm like, why are they always removing this boy? And that's exactly what I'm seeing. After 15 minutes, you don't see him anymore because it feels like it gives you all like a burst of energy and then it fizzles out. You can't be playing top flight football and you only have 15 minutes in you. And so I think that all of those elements come together, plus the ones that we don't see that happens in training that has not actually allowed Arteta to trust him. And I think that trust is not necessarily because, I don't want to play or I don't want to play bad. It's because he actually doesn't want to damage. He's a young kid. He doesn't want, because if you keep on playing him and he keeps on having bad games, the media will keep on being on his back. And you know how the English press are. You could easily destroy the boy's confidence forever. And so I think that, unpopular opinion, I don't know. I honestly don't think that position is the best for Waneri. I think that right, but it was that. I know that place may be congested now, but I don't see Waneri being the one that you're giving the keys to your midfield to. I just don't see it personally.
Okay, that's fair. So let's go to the next player, Rory. And right now, I believe that Martinelli is one of the most underrated players in the team. He stretches defenses, he presses aggressively, and he gives us chaos on that left wing. When I think about the goals against Athletic Club, the goal against Man City, and of course that amazing goal against Atletico Madrid, it just reminded us of how good Martinelli is. However, he has had his spells where he has shown inconsistency. So the question is this, Rory: how would you manage Martinelli best in the team? Should he be starting games or should he continue to be an impact sub?
It's a difficult question, actually, because, as you rightly mentioned, I think Martinelli's problem at the moment is consistent. I think right now, I actually see him more like her because, again, most of his goals have through the middle. Like, apart from the Madrid goal where that was a nicely timed finish, you look at most of his goals for Arsenal, they've come from the situations where he can get in behind. Like, for instance, the Manchester City game. So, I think, personally, I would like to see him like a role. And I know we've got Marino there in case, and Havertz. If Gyökeres does get injured. But to me, like, there are a couple of players I prefer in that number 9 role instead of Kai Havertz, for instance. As I said, Martinelli, and then both of them are better equally as has been for us. So I think that's probably use him in games. For instance, like if Gyökeres is fully fit and he's starting up front, I think there's obviously certain games where Martinelli would be quite useful. for instance, in the big games where we may need to be a little bit cautious and not like go defensively, but where we have to sort of sit a double pivot between the back four and the attack, and I think that's obviously the point where we can break down that left hand side. Well, it doesn't really happen very often because our left hand side has been a problem for years, but obviously he can be very useful, as well as the fact he can track back. Like, that is what Arteta tends to like about him. Not necessarily his attacking attributes, but what he brings defensively. So I think that's probably a compliment to Martinelli. Whereas if you look at players like Trossard, he doesn't really track back as often, which is fine. Like, again, attacking players, they are known for scoring goals, taking on players, etc., etc. Martinelli, I would say right now, is completely the opposite. It's just right now how he would respond to his injury is my question, because he was playing well, starting to score goals. He's picked up an injury. Is he going to maintain that same form? I don't know. Right now, I think he's a bench option because Trossard's actually played really well so far this season, to be fair to him. But I think for me, he's like always been a starter. Like, I just don't understand like the disrespect towards him, if I'm being honest. Yes, he can be very frustrating at times, and he's had poor games, and I've not really defended Martinelli in many of the games he's played poorly, but he's not the problem when you look at our left-hand side and the fact it's been a problem for years, and fans are after players that, if they play on the left-hand side, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Like, you got players like, for instance, Liao, who, I mean, he scored, I think, the same number as Martinelli last season. So, like, there's not really many upgrades apart from Rodrigo that I would have taken ahead of Martinelli, to be honest with you. So, for me, I think, as I said, if you play him striker, I think that's where you get the best out of him, and play him more centrally. He's never really been a touchline winger, and I think at the moment he's pretty much holding hands with the linesman. The fact teams are now starting to double up on him, but obviously now he's sort of lost that charisma. You get what I'm saying? They're not really doubling up on Martinelli as much because they know he's not really a threat. But again, he's been on decent form, and he's played okay so far this season. Aside from, well, the first couple of games of the season where, like, yeah, he was terrible, and pre-season he was abysmal. So he's improving, but again, as you said, I think we need to see a little bit more consistency from Martinelli. I really do. But so far, he's not playing too bad. It's just how he's going to respond from that injury.
Okay, that's fair. So, Blade, I want your honest take on the Trossard versus Martinelli drama within the team, because for some reason, that's one position that I think tends to be very comfortable alternating, and for some reason, both lads cannot really get an extended run unless one suffers an injury, like what has happened with Martinelli now. But on a regular day when everyone is fit, who should start and who should be on the bench and why?
Okay, so for instance, now if you notice, Arteta was ready to do away with both of them and just stick Eze there, and that was an option where you have him wanting to actually play Eze there, and also have Noni play there sometimes. So for me, the season started off with Arteta not really keen about Trossard or Martinelli being his first pick on that wing. That being said, these two players naturally on paper, without any type of drama, Trossard is a better player. Trossard is a better player. He's more experienced. He is one of the best goal scorers in the team. But these two players have a knack of just completely. I don't want to use insulting words. Just completely frustrating. They frustrate the living daylight out of you. You're like, why? And I think that Martinelli does him more. But you see, Trossard tour has days where you are completely like, man, gosh, what horrible football. What are you thinking about? And sometimes it is about him over compensating. He holds onto the ball too much. It is is not doing what he's supposed to do. And there are days where he's completely unplayable. And for me, looking at the squad, there are so many options everywhere now. And it's about Arteta knowing what games suits each person. In the light of what we've seen so far, Martinelli, has his inconsistencies that we've all talked about, and it is really annoying. But there are some games where, for me, I think Martinelli is an impact player. But you see, he sulks too much. If you don't start Martinelli and you bring him in the game, you find out that he has this demeanor of someone that is feeling bad that he was on the bench. And so you sometimes see it in his game is not as pumped until maybe he gets a goal. And I feel like, one of his greatest assets is his speed. And so you will need it in some games to get behind defenders. And just the fact that the threat of him being there, when you can get behind the fullback, makes the fullback sit back and not try to come forward when they see Martinelli. I see it happen many times, even though he has sometimes lost the touch to beat, the defenders. And so for me, I don't think it's clear cut at the moment now, because there are 4 players in that team that can confidently play that left wing. There's Martinelli, there's Trossard, there's Noni Madueke, and there's Eze. And so it's a big headache for Arteta, but it is one that he needs to know the right times to play, these players. If you ask me, on a good day with everybody in good form and being sensible and playing football like it should be, I will go with Trossard. Trossard just gives you an extra dimension. There's just something extra that Trossard gives you that Martinelli will not give you. And you have the crosses, the 1-2s, the passes. There was something he did in the last game that I really, really liked. Some of very unusual passes, through balls he gave to 3 different players at front. There was one to Rice behind the defense, right into the box where nobody was expecting it. There was one to Timber. There was one to Calafori. It's just Trossard gives you that. Obviously, he crowns you with the goal, but Trossard gives you that, the variety of what he brings to the table. But unfortunately, the only reason Martinelli ever gets a sniff is because Trossard himself decides sometimes to be as inconsistent as Martinelli is.
Makes sense. Okay, so Malik, let's touch on Noni Madueke. When we signed him from Chelsea while he was still playing in the Club World Cup, the vitriol and abuse and response from so-called Arsenal fans was quite terrible. So what was your honest take on the signing of Madueke prior to seeing him wear the red and white?
Okay, now Noni, I liked Noni when he was doing Tottenham. When he was in not
Chelsea?
Not Chelsea.
No, Tottenham to PSV. Oh yeah, before he went abroad, yes.
Before he went abroad, I actually wanted him in Arsenal from that youth team. As in, I've been watching his game for that long. When he went to PSV, I was very pleased with him. But when he joined Chelsea, something up there just didn't accept it. No matter what, he had good on the blue, just never accepted. So when he was coming to Arsenal, there was just no way of me accepting him joining us, especially when I saw the output he was giving to them. I never read his stats. I never looked at his output. I never even cared about how he played. So everybody telling us it was good for us, I was just not interested like every other Arsenal fan. He came to us. To be honest, we've still not seen the best out of him, but he was there when we had nobody. He played the
Yeah,
first 2 or 3 matches when we
yeah,
had
Sterling and Reece Nelson. That's like a different class entirely.
exactly. But he played for Arsenal when we had no first team player available. Saka was out. Noni stepped up. Even if he didn't do much, he just gave us that output. Someone that could carry the ball forward on the right and just kept running at the defense. And that was appreciated because he kept doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. The guy took pressure off our defense lots of times at the beginning of the season. So I think all those consistent runs actually made Arsenal fans a little bit appreciative of him being around. They've still not forgotten the fact that he's a Chelsea lad. Maybe if he starts scoring goals for us, then maybe we might let go of that aspect. But for now, he's a good team addition. Let's see what he comes to once he's back from his injury. Let's see what he can give to us. Definitely, he can start. He's going to be a bench or practically maybe another sub that just makes Max Daumann go back to school because none will be the one coming into the bench as often as needed. But
Okay.
he's running. I'm actually pleased with his running. The guy just
Okay.
responds as defenders consistently. Whenever he gets the ball, he doesn't think of going back. He wants to take on his man, which we don't have any player of that profile right now in Arsenal. Saka does it in a Saka way. He comes 2 or 3 steps, then tries to move it to the left. None just goes full throttle at you. No matter how you are going to defend, he's going to try to beat you, beat a kick. He just kicks the ball forward and chases it. Saka wouldn't do that. So he actually helps. He would help us over time. As Blade said, we have a player for every type of difficult situation that we will end up seeing throughout the course of the season. We have a player that can break every other team down. We just have to have Arteta to be able to mix match them properly when time is needed. When there's a low block, you have players that can break the low block. When we have to sit down, you have players that can run at defenders. Martinelli, Noni Madueke, everybody has a part to play this season. We just need to know who to use at the right time. So I think that's
Okay.
where the coach comes in.
Okay, that's very cool. So, Rory, what was your take on his directness, on his unpredictability? Because there's this X factor that Madueke gives you, that pace and that flair. It was a bit different from what we've had in our team. But with him out for this long, have we really missed it that much?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously in recent games we've not been able to sub off Saka because Madueke's been out injured. I just want to put it this way, right? And to say this now. I never really I never really doubted the the player's ability, if that makes sense. It's just the price tag. I think everyone was fuming about because again, Madueke is not really a £50 million right winger for me. If it was like 30 million or something like that, I don't think any of us would be complaining necessarily. But I think it was, the directness and the fact, it'll bring something different, especially against tired legs if he was going to be that right winger to back up Saka. I think against tired legs, he would definitely cause some problems. So I've never doubted that. It's just, again, I do question his end product. I think, he is quite wasteful in front of goal. But then again, the guy's like 23, so he's still got room to improve. Like, we're not talking a 27, 28-year-old. Like, the guy's 23, and as I said, he's still got a lot of room to improve. And to be fair, I have been impressed with his directness and his ability to take on his man. And I know he's not scored, I know he's not assisted yet, but he's created a lot of opportunities down that right-hand side. And when obviously Saka was injured initially, he was one of the few that was actually causing a lot of problems. Nottingham Forest, I thought he was excellent. Bilbao thought in a decent game. Man City in the first half, like even he was our best player, to be honest with you, or our best attacker, should I say. So, yeah, I've been really impressed with the impact Madueke has had in this Arsenal team. Just the fact he brings something a lot different to a Bukayo Saka would. Saka's not as direct as Madueke, but obviously Saka's more efficient. Whereas Madueke is all about flair and, again, directness. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him back from injury, and hopefully he can provide some competition down the right-hand side, bro.
Yeah, awesome. So, Blade, besides the fact that he offers some kind of respite to Saka, do you think he can actually challenge the folks on the left-hand side? Because if you remember in the game against Leeds United, he actually started on the left before Saka had that injury that made him switch to the right. And obviously with Saka unavailable, he had no choice but to be on the right. So my question now is, when everyone is fit, is there a potential for games where he can actually play on the left and play as an out-and-out winger?
Definitely, like Rory said, one of the greatest attributes of Madueke is consistent running at you. We've all said it. That's something that I found as a breath of fresh air when he joined Arsenal. I'm like, if you notice, even though he has not had like any goal contributions, but we've had like a lot of corners when Madueke plays because he's constantly terrorizing the defense, he's constantly running into the box. And I noticed something about his game. When he's on the right, he's very direct. He's very, I need to get to the box before he gives it off. But you see, his efficiency on the left is a different type of efficiency. Is not as explosive dribbling, but is very quick. Is very quick to put the ball in the box when he's on the left. And you find out, if you notice, even the few crosses that Gyökeres had advantage of trying to nod the ball was from his passes on the left. And so for me, there are times when you need that constant threat where you expect quality crosses from the left. And I see Noni doing that. I like Noni on the left. Noni on the left is a bit more cautious. He's a bit more careful about his end result because he's not on his favored side where he wants to run at you. And so you have a different kind of influence from him on the left, which I think is also really good. Like I said at the beginning when you asked us about the attacking options, it's now, in my opinion, a very big task for Arteta to know when and where. Because, sometimes you see Saka, you move Saka to the left because he still wants to keep Saka in the game and bring somebody else on the right. We can have situations where you can have a Noni coming for Saka or a Noni and Saka starting together, Noni on the left, Saka on the right, at times during the game where they can switch. I want us to go back to the days where in game you find players switching wings, because those sort of movements help destabilize opponents because you already have a plan on who is marking who on one side and all of that. Imagine you play a Noni and Saka where they can comfortably every 15 minutes swap wings. And so for me I don't know the last time when we were in this position where we had so much options, and not just options, quality options. And it's one of the things that obviously makes us all confident as Arsenal fans that this season will be different, because when all of them are fit, then it definitely the ball definitely falls on Arteta's table, because you have all of these options. You have options for every type of scenario in the game, and so use it. So I think that it's a long season. It's going to get to a point where the fixtures of all four competitions are just going to be back to back, where you will need everybody contributing. And I think that Noni will have a major impact on how we play and how we perform.
Awesome. We bring us to the last player, Rory. I know this is not your guy. Yeah, but
how did you guess?
But there's this balance that we get with Kai Havertz. If you remember when we lost Granit Xhaka in arguably his best ever season for us, Kai Havertz started in the left eighth position and didn't thrive too well there before he moved to the centre forward position and started scoring so many goals. Now he was scoring so many goals to the point where he even kept Gabriel Jesus out of the team. With Gyökeres also suffered an injury. It has now made us understand that it's a high importance to have Kai Havertz in the side as well. So, in your honest opinion, what does Havertz bring to that team that makes you want him to play consistently for us?
I'm struggling. Listen, right. Although I don't rate the guy, I said throughout last season, I don't mind Havertz as a second choice striker, almost like a plan B to come off the bench in case Gyökeres isn't cutting the mustard, or if he's coming on to sort of, I don't know, play with Gyökeres. I don't know. But that's about it. Like, unless if it's a meaningless Champions League, Carabao Cup, FA Cup game, whatever, right? He should not be starting the most important games for me. I most definitely don't want to be seeing him in midfield. If I'm being honest, I think he's woeful in the midfield. I mean, you look at him in the 8. I mean, for me, that was the reason why we didn't win the league. And I'm not pinpointing that on Havertz himself, but playing him in the 8 was, for me, not the right decision. He was never an 8, and he's never really played as an 8 for even Leverkusen, let alone for Chelsea. So I don't know why Arteta came up with the idea that Havertz would have been the perfect replacement in that 8 for Granit Xhaka at the time. We move him up front, and he had, a nice purple patch. Fair enough, 13 goals. I was even giving him praise. There you go. But I was saying at the end of the season, right, just because he had a decent second half of the season, that doesn't mean we don't prioritise in a striker, by the way, because we need to get into the realisation that the guy isn't a striker and he's not going to get you over the line. Lo and behold, last season he got us knocked out of 2 domestic cup competitions through misses that I never thought a striker would actually miss. I mean, we like to cuss Gabriel Jesus for his finishing, but bloody hell.
Yeah, Newcastle and Man U, those misses were terrible, man.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I don't remember Gabriel Jesus missing opportunities like Havertz did last season. I'm just saying. But the way I want us to use him is just, as a squad player. And considering, as we're speaking now, he is the highest earner. I know Saka's going to, he's going to receive that 300k. But right now, Havertz is obviously the highest earner. But, that's the way it is. Like, he's got to be a bench player for me. There's no way he gets in ahead of Gyökeres, although Gyökeres, for me, hasn't really been an upgrade on Havertz. But Gyökeres brings a lot more to the table than Havertz does. When Havertz isn't scoring, I mean, bloody hell. to be honest, right, with his hamstring injury, he was no good before it. So I don't know how he's going to respond after when he's come back from the 2 hamstring injuries he's actually received. So, listen, he should be a backup striker. However, in Arteta's mind, if Gyökeres doesn't start performing, not saying he hasn't, but if he doesn't, hit the back of the net, then it'll bring his boy Havertz back in, won't he?
His love child, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. So Blade, did you have a different opinion?
Not necessarily like a different opinion. I definitely agree that it has to be a second option from the bench. But I'm also worried about Arteta having too many options. I'm not saying Arteta is class, but anybody, no matter how good you are, you can't have that many options and not start to overthink it. And I feel like Arteta is going to start trying to manufacture reasons and ways to get Kai in the game. Not necessarily removing Gyökeres, but you start having him trying to find a way to give Kai more game time. And I don't know if he's ruthless enough, maybe not, because definitely in your head you're thinking this is your highest earner, 280,000 K, and are you going to constantly play him for the last 25 minutes of games? I know that you start having a situation where he wants to try him back in that left eight. But one thing I do like, I will say this, I agree with Rory, but for me, there's an aspect of Kai's game that I like is Kai's physicality. He does it in a very unreserved way, but it actually does help us in the duels and the fights and the physicality. And I like that about him, last season when we were missing, that type of physical nature to our game where we were, being pushed aside. Now the team has come a long way where that is not an issue anymore. We have a lot of players that are ready to square up with you physically. But how would I say no to an option that can come in and affect the game? But I don't want to, at any given, I don't think that is possible, because if you look at Gyökeres, he improves every day. I don't think Kai is going to ever bench Gyökeres unless maybe there's an illness or injury. But my worry is how Arteta handles the spreading of game time. That's my only worry.
Okay, so
the thing is, I actually don't think Havertz is that physical, to be honest.
It's not?
I don't think Havertz is that physical,
No, but
I really don't.
Maybe not in the box. Maybe not in the box. Well, let me tell you what I mean by it. Maybe not in the box or his approach to striking. If you watch in the midfield, fighting for the balls and recovering, it doesn't take it easy on players. Like if you lose this possession, for instance, it's going to chase that guy back and find how. But that physicality doesn't translate in the box and scoring. That's my only worry. But you see, in the middle of the park, barging and pulling and making sure nobody gets away, he does that pretty well.
Yeah, fair enough. Malik, your thoughts on Kai Havertz?
Just to buttress a bit about what Bleed was saying, I think I personally like him. I don't like him as a nine. I don't like him as the type of 8 that Arsenal plays. I prefer him to just be a second striker. If you notice throughout last season, whenever our defense was doing long balls out, Kai Havertz was always the first person winning the area battle. So he wins the first ball and nobody wins the second ball. So I think that's where people think he's physically strong. He's not strong. He just gets to the ball first. And if he gets the second ball, perhaps he does nothing with it. The player just passes it backwards or passes it into space. So I like Kai Havertz, and I really want to see him play. The way that Arteta used to play Marino, whenever he needs that striker with the height. That's what I think Kai Havertz will give to Arteta this season. He can score with his head, although he hasn't scored in a while with his head. But he just gets to that ball first. There's just something about him in that box. He just pops up and misses beautiful chances that I'm sure Rory might just score. But he might just miss it.
No. But if you think about those misses, you might want to just pull out the head that you don't even have on your head.
No. Some of those misses were atrocious, to be honest. You're like, goodness. Yeah, it's the reason why we went all out for a striker anyway. But I see what you mean in the support striker, because but I don't ever see Arteta playing a straight on 4-4-2, because I can see that where Kai is the one knocking the ball down for Gyökeres to latch onto it and all of that.
But he kind of did it when Ødegaard got injured playing for Norway.
That's what I'm saying. But so if you have everybody, but what if you have everybody? For that was because Ødegaard was injured. We're going to have everybody. Yeah, and so for me, let's mark this down. Arteta is going to start overthinking it. How do I get Kai back in? And I don't know how he does it. Kai has a reputation for upping his game when there's competition. He did it in Chelsea. Somehow he finds a way in getting the manager's nod somehow. And so I feel like he's going to do the same thing, for Arteta. Arteta is going to start thinking, where do I play Kai? Where do I play Kai? And I hope he doesn't do that to the detriment of the team. Because
I agree. I think for every serious game we need to play, we must have Rice, Zubimendi, and Ødegaard in that midfield. Which means that the only place you can play Kai would be for Gyökeres. But I don't think Kai should start ahead of Gyökeres as well. So
even when you're going to switch it in the midfield, it should never be a Kai as the option. Like what we saw in the West Ham game. It can be Rice sitting, Ødegaard and Eze. Zubimendi. Sometimes move maybe Ødegaard. You are playing Ødegaard on the left to fill in for Rice or whatever. But you see, when you play, it's almost like what you have, the type of frustration you have sometimes when you play Merino on the left eight. There's just an expectation that is not met. And that's what...
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this, right? Who do you think is better, and Havertz?
In what position?
Havertz.
Oh my God! In what position? As a striker?
Or as a left eight?
Yeah, as a striker. Yeah.
No striker. Havertz left eight. Marino.
I think your bias may be clouding your judgment, but I feel like Kai has something over. Merino is a player that is intelligent enough to fill in that 9, but I think that Kai just edges it over Merino in the 9. And this is just comparing, like, for me, Merino also it should never be, I thank him for his goals, but it should never be a situation where we are finding ourselves. We found ourselves there because we didn't have a natural 9 and everything. And I think going forward, whether January or next summer, please, that idea of Kai, even as a support striker, should be binned. We should have 2 strikers that we say these are, top 9. The next person coming in is not someone that wishes to be a 9. Yeah, it has to be. And so for me, it has to be, I don't know, maybe a younger striker that doesn't mind being on the bench, but is as little that you can manage. We should not have we are thinking of Merino or Kai to fill in. Because you see, sometimes there are certain games Merino flourishes as the 9. Certain games where he has to be the one doing all the work, he can't do it. But the ones where you can't, because Merino has a style. In Merino's head, sometimes when he's playing, he's the only one. He's the only one on the pitch. He's the only one on the pitch. But you see, what I like about him is I'll say this though, and I know where Rory asked that question about, and I'm thinking about it again. But Merino is more clinical than Kai.
Yeah,
Marino is not a 9. Let's just accept that.
No. To be honest, think about the goals he scores. I just thought about it now. As a general, As a general, As a general picture of a 9, as a general picture and responsibility of a 9, Kai. But you see, in actual putting the ball behind the net, in the chances that you get, I will put Merino ahead of Kai. Thinking about it, he's actually a lot more clinical than Kai is.
Okay, so the final section, yeah. With everybody back, I want you guys to predict your starting lineup against Tottenham. And I'll start.
I don't think everybody will be back against Tottenham. Let's even leave it like that.
No. But I'm trying to find something from you guys. So
okay.
With everybody back, some people might start from the bench, no doubt. But what will be your starting XI against Tottenham? So Rory, I'll start with you.
Okay.
Raya in goal. Timber right back. Saliba, Gabriel, I actually don't know whether Calafiori is going to be fit, but are we including players who are available?
No. I think just your lineup.
Oh, just everyone back. All right, cool.
No, because you can use Nkapie or Lewis Kelly, because right now we are aware that Calafiori has a hip issue, right? And we don't know whether he will be fit enough to play in North London Derby.
Oh, okay. So if Calafiori is not available, then obviously it'll have to be Lewis Kelly.
Okay.
At left back. Midfield, it has to be obviously Zubimendi, Declan Rice. I'll have to be Eze in the 10 because, again, I don't want to risk Ødegaard if he comes back for this game.
Okay.
Then Saka on the right, Gyökeres on the left, and then Gyökeres up front.
Okay, so
that's it.
So clearly, you're going to rest Ødegaard because you're not fully sure of his fitness, and you're going to start Gyökeres ahead of Merino, right? Okay.
I just think Gyökeres brings more to his game than Merino, to be honest. I think Gyökeres can build up from the attack better than Merino does. And even against Slavia Prague, I know he scored 2 goals, but, you know, in the first half, he was frustrating me. And I think it proved like how much we did miss Gyökeres at the time. So,
Sure.
I'll play with everybody. Merino is not a striker. It's just a stopgap. It's just a stopgap to our lack of having a fit striker. Gyökeres halfway to bench Merino anytime, any day. So Gyökeres should definitely start. My lineup is particularly the same as Rory, but I'll prefer to see Eze on the left, and if Ødegaard is fit, back in his usual position.
Okay.
So Eze moved out, just out on the bench.
Okay, so Eze on the left, and Gyökeres in attack, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, then you can potentially risk Ødegaard to start.
Yes.
Good. Okay, Blade?
Yeah.
I will go.
I think we needed Trossard personally down the left.
I will go.
No, sorry, I was just saying, I think we maybe.
Okay, cool. Blade?
I will go Raya.
Because of Porro and that last season.
Okay, I'll go Raya. I'll go Timber on the right. Saliba, Gabriel in the middle. I will go Kala on the left to his feet. Midfield would be Zubimendi, Rice. I would have said Ødegaard. I said that at the beginning. I see Ødegaard all over the place. Norway. For someone that has not played in a long time, I would expect that maybe he's back at camp training. But I know he's not training, so I don't know how he's going to be fit enough to play the game. So I think Eze will start, even if Ødegaard is fit. But if Ødegaard was somehow fit, I will play him there. I will play Trossard. I would, if everybody were fit, I think I would leave Eze to come in later, to be honest. I just feel like Eze, what I've seen so far, it's not really left his mark on games that he has started. And I feel like he may favor him more to come in when maybe players are a bit tired and everything. Gyökeres up front and Saka on the right.
Okay, awesome. So
sorry, did Bruce say he will play Calafiori because of his feet?
No, if he's fit.
If he's fit.
Oh. Right, fair
enough. No.
So what I did on my own end, I kind of put Nkapie on the left. What do you guys think?
That if Kala is not fit.
Yeah, ahead of Lewis Kelly.
I think it depending on. So here's the thing: Nkapie is a fantastic defender, but the instruction and style we've been playing so far favors Lewis Kelly over him to replace Calafiori if he's not fit, because I don't see Nkapie. I've not seen enough of that anyway, because he's slowly into the team. But I don't see that disruption up front and those runs. This is typically what Lewis MLS will do, and I know that he is a more dependable defender. But to be honest, if we want to keep the type of intensity that we've been playing, I would say MLS over him for me.
Yeah, but can I argue that MLS is actually not doing what Calafiori does for us right now?
True.
No. I know it's not doing it, but my point is it's like a different version. The different version being that extra man that Kala gives the attack, and the only Kala does it, the roaming around and popping up in different positions. Skelly sort of does that down the center of the field. If you it has a lot of times where it helps the transition straight from defense to attack in like a flash. But my point is, so we have those two different scenarios. I don't know which one of them Nkapie brings. I know the game I watched Nkapie play, he was very dependable as a defender. But does Arteta want to play with, just because if you notice, we are always transitioning to 3 at the back a lot of times in the game. And so who is the person that goes up front? Is it going to be Timber that is now pushed? Because Timber is one that sits when Kala goes, and there are 3 of them: Saliba, Gabriel, and Timber. So it could happen. Maybe if he does that, what you now do is that Nkapie is the one that downstays in the back 3, while Timber is the one that then does all of that. I don't know, but I think whoever plays is fine.
All right, just one more. I think Arsenal, we should be grateful with the type of players we have right now. We have 3 left backs that play 3 different ways.
And guess what? You actually sold 2.
And it's so true.
Let's even say this: we don't have 3 left backs. Don't forget, Nkapie is a centre back that can play left back. Let's just make that
is a centre back that can play left back.
Timber can play left back too.
I know that.
So let's just say we have 3 left backs. Nkapie, when I said at Leverkusen, was playing lots on the line on the left whenever I was attacking. So he plays outside left. So he gives you that run up as a left back and he pulls out. Calaferi runs straight through the middle and makes himself an 8. Luis Kelly wants to drop to play 4 and form big man, no matter how small he is. So we have 3 different left backs that can play 3 different dimensions. So I think Arteta just needs to be wise enough to know when to use each of them. If he wants to play Eze as an 11 on the left, and Eze is dropping down closer to the edge of the box 18, he can play Nkapie to play the out and out.
To give him weight.
To give him the weight. If he wants to play Trossard, he plays Califori to join the attack. If he wants to play Martinelli, allow Luis Kelly to play and stay in the midfield. So we have a very good problem at our hand. We just need to have a smart manager to know who to play and when to play that person.
Awesome. Okay, so final thoughts. We already seen that we've had these 5 players join us. So I'd like to get one final thought from each of my panelists on your happiness about these guys being available and how we need to manage them going forward. So I'll start with you, Blade. What are your thoughts on all these guys back, and how do you think we should manage them going forward?
Okay, so I'm actually skeptical about who is actually available, because I've been waiting to hear, these are people training. I know that there is a closed door friendly that is being planned. I don't know when, but I know they're working on one, like, to get them up to speed. But for me, I feel like it helps. Arteta now needs to properly put on his rotation hat. He has to be able to give everybody, minutes that help them, recover better. You don't have to throw everybody in there. You have players that are good enough. For me, if you ask me, the only 2 players are a must in my mind: Ødegaard and Gyökeres. All the others can be eased in gently. Ødegaard are not Gyökeres in the sense that obviously we see sometimes the midfield struggles in terms of creation, and obviously we miss our new striker. Every other person ease them into the game, to be honest.
Awesome. Malik?
I'm actually looking forward to see a different managerial side of Arteta. Because right now we're looking at these 5 players coming back. Possibility of the 5 of them being on the bench is high. Possibility of 2 of them starting is high. Possibility of him benching all of them and saying I'm sticking to the ones that have worked in the past is high. So I'm seeing what the manager comes up with this particular week. I don't want to believe any of them would play from the bench. If they're available, they would start. So I want to just see how many minutes each of them are allowed to play. As Blake said, we will need to see them play more friendly matches, or let's see how their fitness goes before next week, Saturday. But till then, Arteta is a creature of an habit right now that I know that man will stick to what has worked in the past. He's not going to toy with anything new, at least not throwing all of them onto the pitch at the same time. He might want to mix one in every other match till he has everybody 100%. So till then, let's just see.
Fair enough. Rory?
Be fair, right, there's only a couple that you could say couldn't just straight back into the starting 11. One of them being missed 2 games, so you can afford to take that risk. However, with Madueke, like, let's be honest, he would have been a backup anyway to either flank right now because Trossard's playing really well and obviously Saka at the moment. And then you've got obviously Ødegaard, who that's the only one where I'm considering like maybe Arteta will just throw him back into the starting 11. Yeah, probably after one game he will. Yeah, first game he comes back from injury, he'll probably end up benching him. He'll come on for a few minutes and then he'll start like he does with most of these players. Obviously, Gabriel came straight back into the starting 11, and so did Saka. So I think that's probably what's going to happen, really. Ødegaard will come straight back into the team after a game or two. But Madueke, I think, will manage. Martinelli will manage. Havertz, that's another one as well. Do we manage him? That's an interesting one that I'm not really sure about, whether or not Arteta will actually manage him. But yeah, apart from that, I think Madueke, Martinelli, yeah, like, I think that's probably how we should manage them. Just ease them in slightly. Although Martinelli right now says a bench option, and then Madueke is just the backup right winger at the moment, as far as I'm concerned. And then Havertz, who should be the backup striker. Don't know whether he'll actually come back in, That's going to be interesting to see how that striker position folds out, really.
Okay, thanks, Rory. Thanks, Malik and Blade. It's another awesome time with you guys. Really loved cooking with y'all. Thanks to the folks in the chat as well. We're going to still cover a couple of games in international break, on the stream. But then again, before I talk about what I'm going to do, Rory, what's your plan for the international break?
Well, I'm planning on recording a video tonight, actually. So, yeah, you can keep an eye on that one. Yeah, that's about it, really. I'm not doing any international watch-alongs, if you think that for 1 second. No. No match reactions or anything like that to do with England, because England are just boring the life out of me. And already through anyway, so it's just pointless. Got one more game left on the Sunday. So, yeah, again, there's just no point, really. Obviously, we'll be back next week. So, that's about it, really.
Awesome. So, y'all can follow Rory at Red RD, awesome channel that he has, and all that. Blade, what about you? What's your plan for the international break? Are you going to watch Nigeria's match on Sunday?
Definitely. After escaping Gabon, I'm actually looking forward to that match. It'll be nice to see if we can actually make it pass. For me, international breaks really bore me. I just want to get back into the thick of it. To be honest, I'm like, gosh, please just move fast. Let's get the business back on the road.
But, what about you, Malik? Any plans for the international break?
Definitely planning to work on Nigeria match. Rooting for Nigeria. Not expecting them to win.
Oh, really?
No. To be honest,
why not? We're not expecting them to win.
It's Congo, come on.
Nigeria is actually. We've been riding on a bubble for so long.
Nah, they'll still ride on that bubble on Sunday. Don't worry.
So now that's what I want to do. We ride on that bubble, it's fine. But we'll be riding on that bubble for wait. Gabon was a very lucky draw. Forget about the extra time. It was a draw.
They will ride the bubble again. Don't worry, bubble.
Let's say
Like-
we divide it off at them, but I'm not expecting much though.
Okay. All right, guys. So thank you so much, as always, for being in the channel. Really, really appreciate the support from you. On 2,300 subscribers and growing. Thanks for everyone that's been part of this journey with me so far. And let's all enjoy the rest of the international break. Until then, come on, you Gunners.